This hour by Frederick Remington, fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. Exclusive, no refrigeration, 10-year extended shelf life bacon. The thickest, meatiest center-cut bacon in the industry at fullycookedbacon.com.
The stocks discussed on Wall Street Raw are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. If considering on acting on information, we first recommend you seek out a competent, licensed professional for advice.
What kingdom has sent you?
The kingdom of the Most High.
Nothing you have ever experienced can prepare you for the unbridled carnage you're about to witness. The Super Bowl, the World Series, they don't know what pressure is. In this building, it's either kill or be killed. You make no friends in the pits and you take no prisoners. 1 minute, you're up $500,000 in soybeans, and the next, boom, your kids don't go to college and they've repossessed your Bentley. Are you with me?
The Genesis Communication Network is proud to bring you Wall Street Raw with nationally recognized market timer and previous Wall Street Week elf, Mark Leibovit, welcoming you on board his financial time machine. And here is the elf himself, Mark Leibovit.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's Saturday, June 10th. Thank you for joining Wall Street Raw. A lot going on in the markets, big volatility on Friday, as I'm sure you're aware. We got a Fed meeting coming up next week, and a lot to talk about, particularly that volatility in the NASDAQ issues on Friday. So we'll touch on that a little bit here during the show. We have a lineup of guests as we normally do here. Henry Weingarten, Don VIALOUX, Sinclair No will be with us. We're going to have an encore interview with Craig Smith from Swiss America coming up in segment 3. Harry Boxer will be joining us in the show along with Chris Kimble, so don't touch your dial. And let's talk to Henry Weingarten. Welcome back, my regular guest and good friend, Henry Weingarten, who is the managing director of the Astrologers Fund in New York. Been only been doing this for about 50 years. Excellent market calls in the last couple of years. And if you want more information from Henry, you should go to afund.com. That's afund.com. I want to make sure I get that out of the way early. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday morning, Henry.
My pleasure. It's fun. Next week is a very critical week in the markets. As you know, we're waiting for June 14th. Not only is it Flag Day, not only is it the FOMC meeting day, but most important, it's Donald Trump's birthday. And we're certainly going to be celebrating with a cake. Effectively, this will determine a lot about what's going to happen in the markets. We believe people are positioned wrong. Trump is going to be very successful, and it's going to see a very different man who's previously was floundering for 6 months, as we forecast, but now is going to be on top of his game. Markets are up. They're expensive, of course. Not only is NASDAQ in shorting range technically, but so is now the S&P. However, it's too early. We will be shorting sometime before August. And the only thing that's a little strange is gold, and gold's a very critical day on the 14th as well. Expect maybe another $30 move, but I think more on the upside than the downside. So we're just going to wait till next week, and that will determine when you should go away. We think it's probably July in the market. It's not June, but we'll have the answer on June 14th.
So let's talk about the correction that's coming later this summer.
It's not a big deal. Nah, it's not a big deal. 5-10%, probably close. Maybe 10 in the NASDAQ or 8 in the NASDAQ and 5 or 3 to 4. It's not much, which is why it really doesn't matter. Trump is going to be very successful. That means that businesses are starting to lend. Banks are going to people and saying, let us lend you money. So it's a whole different ballgame. So we have an increasing economy. Not one going into recession, but a global economy that's actually really growing by real numbers. On the other hand, it's very expensive, so there's some risk because of things being expensive.
So the dip would be just another buying opportunity for a big year-end rally is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more or less, unless you're buying things like Bitcoin or maybe Tesla. But other than that, yes.
Okay, let's talk about Tesla. We touched on Tesla last week, and it's been going higher and higher.
Right. Well, we did a technical thing at 342, got stopped out at even, so we're looking again. But that'll be one of the things we'll hit in June, July, because I think they'll be sorry for what they did. But on the other hand, there's several buys analysts put on it, so you got to wait till the analyst buying is finished, and then it will go down.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's extended. It's due for some type of pullback, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Henry. Henry Weingarten from the Astrologers Fund. He joins us every Saturday morning with these quick insights, and his call with Donald Trump, both on the election and with the market, has been spot on. So we don't want to miss his comments.
And don't forget to celebrate his birthday, everybody, June 14th.
Okay, we'll have a cake out here for sure. Thank you. If you want more information, go to afund.com, Henry, and thank you so much. We'll speak to you next week.
My pleasure.
Welcoming back my good friend and regular guest, Don VIALOUX, who is the past president of the Canadian Society of Technical Analysts. He's a CMT, Chartered Market Technician. He's only been doing this about 46 years. He's been an advisor to the Horizon Seasonal Rotation ETF back between 2009 and 2015, and he authors two websites, one, timingthemarket.ca and equityclock.com. Thank you for joining us, Don.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Well, Don brings us the Canadian perspective, but tell me a little bit about what's going on this week. We have some interesting stories out of China.
China, the equity markets there have finally come alive. We saw China's large cap iShares, the FXI, up 8.2% during the last 4 weeks. That's starting to spread into both Canadian and U.S. equity securities, most notably in the base metal sector. We've seen XME, which is the metals and mining iShares in the U.S., and break to new highs. And we've seen the BMO base metal ETF up here in Canada, the ZMT, also break to new highs. This lines up very nicely for a seasonal trade. Historically, the mines and metal stocks have been very strong right through until the end of July.
Why is China suddenly becoming strong now?
We saw a record increase in their exports announced last week. That means that their economy is starting to hum again, and they're going to need a lot more steel, a lot more coal, a lot more copper, and that fits very nicely with the base metal and mining and metal stocks.
June 14th is a big date.
It sure is. There's a lot of things happening which could have a big impact on equity markets. The Federal Reserve is scheduled to increase the Fed fund rate by 0.25%, and the key there is to watch what the Fed says about future Fed fund increases. Another thing is, on average, during the last 20 years, U.S. equity markets have reached a seasonal peak either on June the 15th or July the 15th. Of course, there's a very good chance with equity markets being overbought where they are right now that June 15th could be the time this year. And June the 14th is President Trump's birthday. According to Henry Weingarten, his birthday could have astrological significance that could influence equity markets.
Yeah, Henry was on the show today talking about that as well. He's been talking about that birthday for many, many months, so market should be strong into that. So, cool. Well, thank you, Don. We got a quick lineup of what's going on. Any quick forecast for next week? A little bit of a seasonal top then, huh?
Yeah, that's the way it's getting lined up. The markets are overbought right now and looking for the likelihood of a bit of a correction. Gold kind of in a trading range right now, probably will be until in July, and then look for a nice move in gold and silver gold stocks coming into late July.
Thank you, Don. We're talking to Don VIALOUX, our regular guest from Canada. And if you want more information on what Don provides, please go to timingthemarket.ca or equityclock.com for more information. And Don will be with us again next week. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you again, Don. And, don't touch your dial. We have Sinclair No coming up. As I also mentioned, Craig Smith, encore presentation from his August interview, talking about gold and cash. Harry Boxer will be with us, and, of course, Chris Kimble. And we want to talk a little bit about that full moon on Friday. They call it the strawberry moon. I remember my good friend Ian McAvity talking about that from deliberations well back in the 1970s. So interesting correlation there with a possible top in the markets. Stay tuned. We'll be back after the break.
You're listening to Wall Street Raw with Mark Leibovit. Go to wallstreetradio.com for information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I'm here to tell you about GCNtelecare.com, a team of board-certified doctors assisting you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Within 15 minutes of registration, care your family can afford. Revolutionizing the healthcare industry, virtual consulting providing diagnosis of non-emergency medical issues by phone or secure video on computer or smart mobile devices. GCNtelecare.com. Virtual care anywhere.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep REM sleep faster, and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry my pillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. And here's my best offer ever. You can buy one of my pillows and get one absolutely free.
Go to mypillow.com or call 800-870-0305 and use promo code GCN. That's mypillow.com or 800-870-0305 with promo code GCN.
Be prepared for the next disaster with the Shelter Pod. The Shelter Pod is a large, all-season, heavy-duty, quick-deploy shelter. The Shelter Pod system can be set up in 30 seconds and includes an emergency medical kit, water filter, survival tools, and more. Are you prepared to take care of your family? Do you have everything in one place ready to go? Get it now or enter to win a complete Shelter Pod system at shelterpod.com. The Shelter Pod at shelterpod.com. Shelter when you need it most.
Love or loathe him, Donald J. Trump is our 45th president. There is no denying now that Trump will go down in history, both despised and admired. Commemorate Trump's presidency with your very own Trump Silver Bust from TrumpSilverStatue.com. This museum-quality heirloom Trump Silver Statue bust is hand-cast from 20 troy ounces of silver, a great investment. From TrumpSilverStatue.com. Loathed or loved, own a valuable piece of Trump's legacy. Get your solid silver Trump bust today at TrumpSilverStatue.com.
Have you racked up more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by, making minimum payments? You should know the credit card companies are tricking you into thinking there's no way out. Credit card companies would rather you didn't know that there are ways you can become debt-free, and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. There are debt relief programs that help people like you escape overwhelming credit card debt. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $500 million of debt. National Debt Relief has helped so many people they're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. You don't have to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan. You have the right to settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Reduce a large portion of your debt now. Call National Debt Relief at 800-314-7417. 800-314-7417. That's 800-314-7417.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Think positive. Never show any sign of weakness. Always go for the throat. Buy low, sell high. Fear, that's the other guy's problem.
Welcome back to the Wall Street Raw Radio Show with Mark Leibovit, your time machine for the financial markets. Want to know more? Go to wallstreetrawradio.com. Now, here's the elf himself, Mark Leibovit.
Welcome back, my good friend and regular guest, Sinclair Now from KFNN 1510 Phoenix, and author of the incomparable blog, EatTheBankers.com. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning, Sinclair.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the kind words.
Big week next week. We got the Fed meeting June 13th and 14th. We got option expiration next Friday. Just had a couple guests on the phone are telling us that mid-June could be a cyclical peak in the markets after the big run that we've had. In fact, according to Bill Gross, who manages $2 billion at the Janus Fund, he says markets are at their highest risk level since before 2008. That came out, I think, the last day or two. But let's talk about the Fed.
Well, and don't forget you've got a government that's going to have to be formed over in the UK after the vote this past week.
Right.
So, yeah, it's going to be a busy week next week. Federal Reserve widely anticipated to be raising rates when they meet on Tuesday and Wednesday. This is one of those meetings where we have press conference, we have the economist projections from the Fed staff. It all comes together. If they're going to make an interest rate hike, this would be the time to do it. They've indicated that they're going to do it. They've telegraphed that they are going to do it. If they don't do it, then everybody's going to freak out and go, what's wrong? Did we miss something? What do they know that we don't know? I anticipate they're going to do it. Now, the next question is, how are they going to present it? Is it going to be, well, we did it, but we're going to wait and see now? And then the bigger question is what they're going to do with their balance sheet, their $4.5 trillion balance sheet. Are they finally going to say, yep, we're going to let that start rolling off the books? That'll be a big determinant as to what happens in the bond market moving forward. Right now, the bond market, I mean, my goodness, we have seen a rally in bonds so far this year that just doesn't seem to jive with the idea that the Federal Reserve is going to be raising interest rates. We're looking at about 2.2% or lower on the 10-year Treasury note. That doesn't make much sense.
Well, Mohammed El-Arian, as you know, who is at PIMCO, came out this week, and he said with May's jobs reports, and there's several other signs indicating that the U.S. economy has hit a soft patch, in his opinion, and he doesn't think that the Fed will move next week. So maybe that's what the bond market has been telling us.
Maybe. Now, El-Arian brings up a very good point. The jobs market has been very weak lately. 138,000 jobs reported last week for the month of May. That's not strong. And they also did some revisions down to prior months. And one of those months dropped down to just 50,000 jobs. We're seeing very poor job growth at this point, even though the unemployment rate, that the headline number, the U3, dropped down to 4.3%. It's a little bit misleading. We don't have a lot of people participating in the labor force, not like we really should at this point in the recovery. We also had this past week the JOLTS report, Job Opening and Labor Turnover Survey, and they were showing that there are all these job openings, 6 million, which would be right about a record high. Now, the JOLT report only goes back to about 2001. That's when they started doing that. So you think, oh, there are all these jobs there. They should be pulling people in off of the sidelines. More people should be coming into the labor force, but it's not happening. Part of that's demographics. Part of it is that employers just aren't willing to pay up. We're not seeing wages increase. In fact, after you consider benefits and inflation and so forth, wage growth has actually turned a bit negative. So employers say, yeah, we've got all these openings, but they're not willing to pay for it. They're not willing to train their workers to do the jobs. Increase. In fact, after you consider benefits and inflation and so forth, wage growth has actually turned a bit negative. So employers say, yeah, we've got all these openings, but they're not willing to pay for it. They're not willing to train their workers to do the jobs. I think we've got some real weakness in the labor force, or maybe we're just so far along in the recovery that this is as good as we're going to get. I could make a case, as El-Arian did, for not raising rates. Also, as Coach Lakota, the former Minneapolis Fed president, did, he's strongly against raising rates at this point. But I think they're probably going to do it. If you want to bet, that would be the bet.
Well, speaking of rates, the ECB left interest rates unchanged this past week, and they trimmed expectations for inflation. That was interesting.
Not so much of a surprise there. They were unchanged. No big deal. They say that there's growth, but no inflation showing up. Mario Draghi said in his news conference that the euro area still has not been generating inflation, even though the officials with the ECB upgraded their growth assessment. So the change in assessment of risk for the economy sets the scene for the ECB to start discussing the timing for the removal of stimulus, but that didn't happen this past week.
Sinclair, thank you for joining us. We ran out of time for this segment. Our good friend Sinclair No from KFN and 1510 Phoenix and author of the blog EatTheBankers.com will be back with us next week. Sinclair, I really appreciate you taking a few moments. Great stuff. Thank you.
Always a pleasure to be on the incomparable Wall Street Raw.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Thank you again, Sinclair. Well, wild day on Friday. Some of the biggest names tumbled in the last couple hours. Alphabet, Google dropped 3.5%. Apple down 4%. It's the biggest one-day loss in more than a year. Microsoft lost 2.2%. Facebook down 3.3%. The strangest trade was Amazon. Over a period of 5 seconds, the stock went from 960 to 930, back to 953, and then down to 927, then traded over 959 again. Looks like some kind of fat finger flash crash. Amazon finished the day down 3.1%. Goldman issued a report saying that the big five mega tech stocks have added $600 billion in the market cap since the start of the year. In Goldman's view, the sector has gotten ridiculously crowded. So Bank of America issued a report saying the tech sector is the most overweight it's ever been. We all know that stocks don't grow to the trees, but apparently this report intraday shook the NASDAQ. So we're really going to have to wait till Monday to see whether there's any follow-through here. But we are in that quote-unquote cyclical period for a little bit of a peak, and we had that full moon, too, as I mentioned earlier. Talk to you after the break.
Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com for more information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at WallStreetRaw.com. Here, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth and help you avoid the next big market tsunami. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to WallStreetRaw.com and sign up for his free monthly Cannabis Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free monthly Gold News Raw report. Both are totally free. No credit card information is required, and no one will call. Sign up today for your free Cannabis Vice News Raw report and Gold News Raw report at WallStreetRaw.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, customers, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-765-9681 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-765-9681. Again, that's 800-765-9681.
Hi there, I'm Bob Eubanks. You know, as part of Hollywood for a long time, I've seen my fair share of celebrities get in trouble with the IRS. Well, there's one name I trust. The Tax Defense Group. They're the most trusted name in tax. So if you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS, you really need to call my friends at the Tax Defense Group. Ignoring the IRS is not the solution. They can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts, seize your home or business. But the Tax Defense Group could put a stop to all of that and tailor a program that would reduce your tax debt to pennies on the dollar. You gotta love that. So don't just take my word for it. Call them. Find out for yourself. They offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. And they're open 24 hours a day because they know that tax debt doesn't sleep either.
Call now for your free and confidential tax analysis from the most trusted name in tax. Call 800-361-6907. 800-361-6907.
If you're a sleep apnea sufferer who's on the go, go to your phone. Because if you give us a call right now, you'll be able to try the world's first portable mini CPAP device absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights. It's the Transcend Mini CPAP, an engineering marvel that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. Its unique design is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. No more dragging around a big, bulky CPAP. Even better, now you can try Transcend absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights by calling minicpap.com, 1-800-441-9833. Transcend is FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. You can also add a battery pack that's as tiny as a deck of cards. So now you can enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. But don't wait. To receive your 10-night in-home trial, call minicpap.com now. 1-800-441-9833. That's 1-800-441-9833.
Anything that is thy neighbor.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw. Want to know more about Wall Street Raw and the Leibovit VR newsletters? Go to wallstreetrawradio.com.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw on this Saturday morning, June 10th. I'm your host, Mark Leibovit, and we're going to have an encore presentation of an interview we did last August with Craig Smith from Swiss America. He does refer to the upcoming election, but a lot of the points in there are still very valuable, and we hope to have him back on the show in the next couple of weeks. The big issue is the big secret war on cash that's been going on. We've talked about this numerous times on the program. In Europe, it's going on. In the U.S. here, you know, when you go to the banks and you try to deposit too much or take any amount of cash out, you're questioned, and essentially you're being spied upon. So this is something that could be a challenge to our freedom. So let's go to that interview. Welcoming a very special guest this Saturday morning, Craig Smith, who's chairman of Swiss America Trading Corporation, an investment firm specializing in U.S. and gold and silver coins. Mr. Smith founded the company back in 1982, according to his bio, out of his bedroom in his home with $50. It has grown to one of the largest, most respected firms in the industry, known for its dedication to consumer education and safety. And I have to disclose that a couple points in my career, I was a client of Swiss America, so I have a high regard for the company and the people that work there. Craig, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that gracious introduction.
There's so much to talk about. You had a book out recently. I know you have a new book that you're working on, but the one we want to talk about is Don't Bank on It, The Unsafe World in the 21st Century. Is that the correct title, the subtitle? Unsafe World?
Yeah, that's correct. The Unsafe World of Banking in the 21st Century. Our banks have really changed, as you're well aware of, Mark, and we outline in the book that there is a secret war on cash that's currently underway, and most Americans have to be very careful how they bank nowadays, or else they could find themselves being arrested or literally having their money confiscated from them.
Yeah, let's talk more about this. This is really an interesting point. There's no coverage of this whatsoever in the financial media, particularly the liberal media that we unfortunately are subjected to day to day, and the nonconformance to the Fourth Estate and trying to dig down to see what's really happening in companies and the government. So tell us a little bit about what our listeners should be concerned about.
Well, we do a chapter on this, and by the way, we have a report on this that we'd be more than happy to send out to your clients called The Secret War on Cash. And what it basically is that years ago we developed what was called the CTR 8300, the Cash Transaction Report 8300 form, which meant that if you went to a bank and took out more than $10,000 or deposited $10,000 in cash, you had to report it. But the problem was, on the back of it was what was called a suspicious transaction report form. And it was very ambiguous, Mark, on what qualified for being a suspicious transaction report. Well, long story short, all of a sudden the federal government just started deeming large amounts of cash as being illegal. A perfect example was there was a Christian rock band that was raising money for an orphanage in Uganda. They held a big concert. They had $23,000 in giving. They were headed home, were pulled over by the police for speeding. They explained it was a gift that was given to them as a charity. The money was confiscated. They said that they were probably up to no good. It took them 9 months in the courts to get their money back, and they didn't even get all $23,000 back. And I can give you dozens of examples of that. We outline many of them in the report. And people don't realize that this is happening, Mark. And like you said, the mainstream media is just totally ignoring it. And at the end of our book, Don't Bank on It, we challenge people, go down to the bank and try and cash a check for, say, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, and watch what happens. They'll ask you why you want the money, what are you going to use it for. In a lot of cases, they'll tell you they don't have that much money on hand to give you. It's a frightening prospect, Mark, when they will take your money but put you through the third degree to give you your money back. It's really wrong.
Craig, I know you're an expert on the gold market and numismatics in particular. I was wondering if you can, of course, we've had a nice rally here in the gold market these past few months, about a 30% rally, and many are believing that this is the first leg of a new bull market. What's your feeling about what's going on in the gold market now?
Yeah, for 35 years I've never made predictions, but recently I broke that trend and said that we have entered into a 30-year secular bull market, which I think will have many ups and downs like all bull markets do, but over the long term we're going to see gold substantially higher than where it is now. You're right, we had about a 28% rally this year so far. I suspect we'll end gold somewhere around $1,400 for the year. I think depending upon how the election shakes out, you could see very, very turbulent times for gold prices in 2017. But we have to keep in mind that as it relates to the price of gold, gold has not really gone up or down. It's all the currencies have adjusted accordingly. If you look at the British pound, for example, gold is up over 40% this year. Or if you look at some of the other currencies that have taken a hit recently. So we try and educate our clients and our prospects that are looking for information that gold really never goes up or down, Mark. It's just either the dollar gets stronger or the dollar gets weaker, or the pound gets stronger or the pound gets weaker. And that's why on our quoting services now that we get at our terminals, we get gold priced in yen now, we get gold priced in British pounds, we get gold priced in euro, and of course with the Japanese yen trading at 100 currently, and it should probably drop below that, the currency is extremely strong, so gold's very cheap in terms of Japanese yen. Right now, our position is we're long gold and we're short euros because we think that's the biggest play in the market right now.
So you're thinking that U.S. dollar could remain strong for a while?
Yeah, I mean, we're the cleanest shirt in the dirty closet. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but we are basically in a currency war. I mean, look, Chinese are currency manipulators. Barack Obama should have called them out over these last 8 years as that, being currency manipulators. I guarantee if Donald Trump wins, he will call them out as currency manipulators. It's the same thing as a tariff. We have a currency war that's clearly underway, and it's a race to the bottom. We've seen quantitative easing used in the United States. Now it's being used universally by central banks all over the world, and you can only get to zero, Mark, and then there's a problem.
We're minus zero. We're minus zero now.
Well, yeah, you're actually right. With over $10 trillion worth of bonds returning negative interest rates right now, you could make the argument that many of these currencies theoretically are at zero, and people are so concerned about the return of their money that they're willing to make a deposit of $10,000 on the promise that they'll only get back $9,990.
Good place, good reason for gold, Craig. And I want to thank you again for taking a few minutes. We have a very short window, and we'd love to have you back real soon. We're talking to Craig Smith of Swiss America Trading. Craig, how do our listeners get in touch with you?
They can go to SwissAmerica.com or call 800-289-2646. Mention Mark's name, and they'll either send you a copy of my book or The Secret War on Cash. That Secret War on Cash is something every American should be aware of.
Thank you, Craig, for joining us. Craig Smith from Swiss America Trading. If you want more information, call 800-289-2646 to get the War on Cash report. Thanks again, Craig. We'll have you back real soon.
Hey, thank you, Mark. Great.
Thank you, Craig. And don't touch your dial, folks. Harry Boxer and Chris Kimble are joining us on segment 4.
You're listening to Wall Street Raw with Mark Leibovit. Go to wallstreetrawradio.com for information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at wallstreetraw.com. At wallstreetraw.com, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth and help you avoid the next big market crash. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to wallstreetraw.com and sign up for his free monthly Cannabis Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free monthly Gold News Raw report. Both are totally free. No credit card information is required. Sign up today for your free Cannabis Vice News Raw and Gold News Raw reports at wallstreetraw.com. That's wallstreetraw.com.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the Internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
The answer to being in control of your own healthcare is freedom from insurance. Become part of a group of self-pay patients that come together to share in each other's medical expenses. Individual share amounts begin at $107 a month and $347 for families. Choose from 3 health-sharing programs. Holistic treatments may be eligible for sharing. See guidelines. Discount programs available for dental, vision, and pharmacy. Go to libertyoncall.org. That's libertyoncall.org.
Are you drowning in debt? Are you struggling to make minimum payments? Did you know that on average a household with at least one credit card struggles with over $10,000 in credit card debt? If this sounds like you, know that it's not your fault. Credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates and low minimum payments. Before you know it, you're in over your head. We've helped thousands of good people just like you become debt-free with our Debt Reset program that will dramatically reduce your debt down to a fraction of what you owe. Our Debt Reset program is customized to get you debt-free in as little as 24 to 48 months with one low monthly payment. If you owe over $10,000 in credit card debt or even personal loans, call 800-912-6177. There are no upfront fees or out-of-pocket expenses. You don't pay a dime until we succeed. Call now to see how the Debt Reset program can work for you. 800-912-6177. That's 800-912-6177. Again, 800-912-6177.
We use cell phones against our heads every day. But now a landmark U.S. government study confirms increased health risks from exposure to EMF radiation emitted from these devices. The time to protect yourself is now. The solution is Defender Shield. Proudly made in the USA, Defender Shield blocks virtually 100% of EMF radiation emitted from cell phones, tablets, and laptops. Buy now at DefenderShield.com. Use discount code DEFENDER for 10% off. DefenderShield.com, the worldwide leader in EMF radiation protection.
Responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
There is no freedom without the law.
Get it? Got it? Good.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw and the final segment with Mark Leibovit. Now, here's the elf himself.
Welcome back, our regular and special guest, Harry Boxer from the TechTrader.com, which is a live trading room featuring trade alerts and technical market analysis during the day. And Harry's been doing this nearly 50 years, and he's author of the Profitable Day and Swing Trading book, which is named by Stock Traders Almanac as the 2015 Best Investment Book of the Year. Harry, before we get started, we only have a few minutes anyway. Tell us a little bit about the seminar you're holding in Sedona.
Yeah, basically it's considered the tech traders are having a retreat or, a seminar get-together for the weekend. 2 weeks from today, actually. It starts Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the 24th, 15th, I think it is. Should be fun. We're going to have about 4 dozen of our members are going to be there.
Great. And you have to be a client. So if you want to go, you have to go to the TechTrader.com to sign up, right?
It's actually a little too late now because, in Sedona, if you don't make reservations ahead of time, you're unlikely to be able to get involved. But you can always get involved with us. We're still open to that. And obviously you have to sign up to be a member first. But having a real tough day in the NASDAQ 100, the generals are getting whacked big time.
Well, I noticed Tesla was coming down quite a bit. Tell us what's going on.
Well, just a rollover. It looks like a group rotation to me. The NASDAQ 100 is now down 90 points from its high this morning. 90. The S&P, which was resilient, it wasn't dropping at all during this pullback, finally giving way a little bit. But I think we're oversold enough intraday, having gone from 58.98 to 58.10, 88 points, that we can get a nice snapback rally here on stocks like Apple, Nvidia, Tesla, Google, Amazon, you name them, they're all getting whacked hard. And it's kind of interesting that it's a tech stock retreat, semiconductor stock retreat, not so much in the biotech sector. So LABU, for example, the biotech ETF is up 180. Kite's up 312. Bluebird is up 460. So it's one of those interesting divergent days today.
Reminding our listeners that we taped this interview on Friday midday, so we're referring to Friday's trading action, even though we're broadcasting Saturday morning. So maybe the Nasdaq's telling us the market's about to peak out, since it was leading the market higher for the longest time. Harry, what do you think?
Well, anytime you get, I won't commit to that until I see the financials, which are strong today, and the biotechs, which are pretty good today, roll over. If they're not holding up, and if you look at the FAS, for example, it's up $1.60 or 3.5%. That's a nice move for an ETF. Financials are strong, and money's moved into financials and actually biotech today. If you look at the LABU, again, that sector is up. Then on a day, 3.5% as well. So when you get two major, I follow three groups that I think lead the market. That's tech, biotech, and financials. And the biotech and financials are each up 3.5% in terms of the ETFs for that group. When you get that kind of up movement, when the SMH, for example, which has really rolled over, is down 2%, and a big reversal off the high. So we may have put in a peak in that group without having actually put a peak in the market yet. And I am expecting a late rally back here, and we'll see what happens if they rally back to resistance sale and then roll over. I've got a really strong late rally that brings the market way back. This is still too early to call.
We always want to touch briefly on gold, since we have a lot of followers in the gold market. It looks like gold double topped around that 1,300 area temporarily. Is that what you're reading too?
I don't follow the price of gold as much as I do the ETFs in that group, and the JDS2 has moved up for 2 days in a row very nicely. It's backed off this morning after peaking out at 70. It's back down to 67 and change. But net on the day, that one is also up $1.56, 2.4%. It looks like you're putting in a base. I can't say that gold is topped and or the ETF, the bear ETF, the bottom yet. So too early to tell there too.
Okay. Harry's got to get back to his trading room, which he does live all during the weekday market hours, so we'll let him go. Harry Boxer from thetechtrader.com. If you want more information, go to thetechtrader.com. And if you're lucky enough to visit Sedona and visit him for his workshop, congratulations. It should be a great event. Thank you, Harry, for joining us.
All right, great. Thank you. Have me. Talk to you next week.
Welcome back, my good friend and special guest, Chris Kimble from Kimble Charting Solutions. Chris has been on the show several times. He's been around many, many years doing this. I think at least about 35 years in the financial industry. He's a mentor of Sir John Templeton, and he produces some really interesting charts. He specializes in what he calls pattern analysis in stock indexes, bonds, and currencies and stocks, and he uses very interesting pictures to highlight the opportunity at hand with a bit of humor. No question about that. With some of those cartoons you put on there, Chris, it's a lot of fun.
Hey, we got to do something with this business, Mark.
Right. The funniest one is Joe Friday from Dragnet, but thank you. Those are really cool. Chris was really kind to send some charts over this Saturday morning, just highlighting what's happening from his perspective. So let's go over those. We just talked off air about copper and Freeport. Let's start with that one.
Mark has had a rough several months, I think losing 25-30% of its value. But one of the things, we didn't invent the pattern at all, but it appears to us that a bullish falling wedge is taking place. 2/3 of the time, those lead to higher prices. I like the pattern because it's good for risk management. Obviously there's another third that can happen, which is to the downside. But the pattern, to me, Mark, leaves a good place to put a stop. And Freeport is trying to show a little bit of strength of late. So we're biased. We're long that, but we kind of like what we see in that pattern. How about you?
Listen, I've been looking for the stock to go into the mid-20s for about a year, so I'm listening to you on this one.
Well, our fingers are crossed. We like what we see so far, but as you know, Mark, the short-term trend, 90 days, 100 or whatever, is still down. But I think we could have a weekly close above the top of the wedge if Freeport would close where it is right now.
So what's going on with the gold-dollar ratio? You sent me over a chart there that's improving.
It is improving, Mark, and as you know, that the gold-dollar ratio, the dollar has been stronger than gold since 2011, made a series of lower highs for, 6 years now. Mm-hmm. And so to me, that's one of the most important price points in a downtrend is when you meet, a top of a channel that has turned away this ratio time and time again for 6 or 7 years. Obviously, until this breaks out, a person tends to want to sell into rallies and strength. Someday this line's going to give away, and there's 2 of them, right now. And we like looking at the silver-gold ratio, the GDXJ-GDX ratio, this ratio of gold-dollar, and also the other way around. They're all testing levels, Mark, that they've struggled with. But if we would get a breakout, humbly, I think it'd be one of those back-to-truck up times.
Chris, we ran out of time. We have so many more charts to go over, but we only have a short window on the show, so maybe we'll get you back next week. I know you wanted to talk about some other charts. In particular, I believe you were looking at microcaps and so forth, which seem to be breaking out. But we'll have Chris back, and we'll talk about that next week. Chris Kimble from Kimble Charting Solutions. Chris, how do our listeners get in touch with you? KimbleChartingSolutions.com, and that's KIMBLE ChartingSolutions.com. And Mark, thanks for having us on the show. You do a wonderful service for many, many years. You're one of the best, and thanks for having us on the show. Well, it's a mutual admiration society, Chris. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
You bet. Take care, buddy.
Thank you, Chris. And hopefully you enjoyed today's show. We're just jam-packed with guests. But, the big story is whether the Fed's going to do something surprising next week. That may be why markets start to sell off on Friday. Or was it just Goldman Sachs telling us that high-tech stocks were overvalued? But I think the bottom line is here, the markets are still in a bull phase. And whether we get a 5% correction or not, there's still money on the sidelines looking to put to work. So I think we have to stay overall optimistic. And in that regard, we close our show each week with our old friend Ed Hart used to say on the Financial News Network from the 1980s, we will know in the fullness of time. Talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to Wall Street Raw with nationally recognized market timer and previous Wall Street Week Out, Mark Leibovit. If you missed any of today's show or to get in touch with Mark, please go to wallstreetrawradio.com. Any stocks or investment discussed on Wall Street Raw are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. We first recommend you seek out a licensed financial professional for advice. Go to wallstreetrawradio.com for more information on Mark's newsletters and products.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at wallstreetraw.com. Here, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth and help you avoid the next big market tsunami. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to wallstreetraw.com and sign up for his free monthly Cannabis Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free monthly Gold News Raw report. Both are totally free. No credit card information is required, and no one will call. Sign up today for your free Cannabis Vice News Raw report and Gold News Raw report at wallstreetraw.com.
Being self-reliant is about being prepared and to do what you need to have your own source of renewable energy. Portable Solar LLC offers the most powerful EMP-hardened solar system on the market that is transportable from place to place, and the best part, it's very affordable. Contact them at portablesolarllc.com or call for details at 972-575-8875. Soul Arc EMP-hardened solar generator energy insurance for your family or business. Call Portable Solar LLC today or go to portablesolarllc.com to check out their patent-pending technology.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.